Agreed to. Jacinda Ardern.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on the Copyright Parallel Importing of Films Amendment Bill and appreciate the engagement of the Minister in recent weeks over this particular issue. It is fair to say, as the Minister has already pointed out, Mr Speaker, that Labor supports this bill, and I will run through the brief time I have left available before the dinner break a bit of a background about this bill and for the period afterwards, of course. But I did just want to say that although, of course, Labor supports this bill, we have proactively engaged with the Minister to get to this point. We had some initial concerns that this might not have been the outcome, and we were seeking this particular outcome for now. This process, I think it's fair to say, would have been smoother, Minister, if perhaps we weren't debating this one in urgency. And I know that that may not have been what you were necessarily seeking when you took it to your esteemed colleague, the Leader of the House, but given we are now have this in an urgency motion, that will bring with it some complications, just in terms of, us continuing to make sure that we debate it in full as we are entitled to do at this process. But that does not lessen the degree to which we support the notion of what we are doing within this bill. A bit more time with the bill would have also been helpful and appreciated, although, as I've said, we support the content. We haven't seen the content in writing till just now. I've literally just opening this as we speak, but I take the Minister on his word that it was, as discussed, an extension of the Copyright Act 1994 to allow a temporary ban on parallel importing. Now, just to go back to the beginning, Mr Speaker, in 2003, as I understand it, Labor introduced a 5-year temporary ban which prohibited the commercial import of films for a period of 9 months from the film first being made available to the public. Now, this is a very explicit reason for this, and it is very much based around the motion picture industry, our small, in particular, cinemas, that many of us over the years may have frequented, particularly I want to highlight in some of our smaller towns and provincial areas who really do rely on the ability to at least get their first foot in the door when it comes to a release. And the staging of releases is pretty important to remember. Something that's released in the United States, for instance, that's timed around a school holiday period doesn't naturally coincide with that period within New Zealand. And so having that little buffer period for that industry, as they claim, is the difference between 165 jobs existing or not. And let's be really clear on that. That's work that PricewaterhouseCoopers has done on behalf of the industry to demonstrate that a loss of that window would have that effect. Now, let's be clear though, Mr Speaker, the industry does have to move with the times. Things are changing and rapidly, and so that is why, as I understand, this bill will put an expiry date of 2016. It also reduces the window from a period of 9 months, which is what we currently have, down to 5 months. And that's a compromise that we feel very comfortable with. But this is a message, I guess, to the industry that this is unlikely to be a tenable long-term way of maintaining their ability to stay in front of the game in a digital age. And so, as it were, I guess this is an extra time for the industry to try and develop where they go next, in the same way that the music industry is doing and has started doing a very good job at, as I must add. So does this industry have to start looking at that much more rapidly as well. But this bill will allow them the time to do that. It will allow those jobs to be retained while the industry works on how it tries to ensure that it remains viable in the future. So, Mr Chair, that is, Mr Speaker, that is the reason that Labor will be supporting this bill, and pleased that the Minister has listened to the feedback of those who have an interest in it, and we look forward to debating it.
Sorry to interrupt, the Honourable Member. The time has come for me to leave the Chair for the dinner break. This debate is interrupted. I shall resume the Chair at 7:30.